Hey everyone, welcome back to the FUMS podcast show where we provide information, inspiration, and motivation for living your best life with MS. Today's returning guest is Dr. Gretchen Hawley, a doctor of physical therapy and a multiple sclerosis certified specialist. After graduating from Simmons University in Boston, Massachusetts, she developed an MS physical therapy program alongside two of the city's top MS neurologists. Dr. Hawley utilizes the concept of neuroplasticity in her online MS wellness program, The MSing Link, to help her clients reduce fatigue, get stronger, improve their balance, and walk better. Her members feel more energized, empowered, and like they have more control over their life with MS. Dr. Hawley's been a keynote speaker at several MS conferences, lectures frequently for MS support groups, and continues to keep herself up to date on the newest and best MS practices by attending the MS Consortium each year. Dr. Hawley resides in Buffalo with her dog, Finn. Welcome back, Dr. Gretchen. It's been a minute.
It has. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for being here again. I was psyched to hear from you and your desire on coming back and chatting with the FUMS community. You're an old friend of the pod, having been on here on episode 22 back in 2018. I'll link to that episode in the show notes too, so people can listen to that as well. But that's been a little bit. I think this episode is going to be 74. So we've done a few in between.
Yes.
Welcome back. Appreciate you being
Thank
here.
you.
You are all about MS and PT. You've developed multiple programs incorporating PT for MS, including your latest venture, MSing Link. I want to get to that, but first, can you please tell us where your deep interest in MS comes from? You've dedicated your life to helping this community, and we appreciate it, but where does that come from?
A lot of people always ask me if I have MS myself, because most people that get into helping others with MS actually have MS. Yes, just like you.
Yeah.
And I don't have multiple sclerosis. So the way that I got into working with people who have MS was what I think of as being a little bit random, but the physical therapy company that I worked for had a sister company with an MS program, and they wanted to open one up in the Boston area, which is where I was working. So at first it was just an interest. Even in PT school, I loved the neurological disorders. I will say it was the hardest class by far because it's not anything you can physically see, but I was always interested in it. So when I had the opportunity to learn more about MS and treat people with MS, I jumped at that opportunity. And immediately, literally with the first two patients that I had, I learned how every person with MS is different. And not only that, but each person individually can be different day to day or even hour to hour. Every time I saw them, it was a different experience. And I love brainstorming. So for me, I was like, ooh, this is fun.
What ways a fun can we think group of? For you then,
Yeah.
we're just confounding.
Yes. Yeah. And it was also in my studies. So you don't have to be an MS specialist or an MS certified specialist to work with people who have MS. You can just be what I call a regular physical therapist. However, because everyone was so different, I just truly felt like I needed to educate myself more. And so that's when I decided to study for and prepare and sit for the MS specialist certification exam. And I'm so glad I did. It was one of the best things I've ever done because you literally have to know almost everything there is about MS. It's the same exam that if a neurologist wanted to be an MS certified specialist, it's the same exam they would have to take. And so you have to know all about diagnosis, the different types, all of the different symptoms, different medications, different therapies and treatments, everything. And because of that, I feel like I'm better able to connect with my clients because I know what questions to ask. And I've seen enough now. I've been an MS specialist for 5 years, so I can see trends and I know which questions to ask. And I think the reason I'm so passionate now about sharing what I know on podcasts like FUMS is because there are so few physical therapists that also have this MS background. And I will say it is completely different. The exercises are different. The way you do the exercises are different. And it's the difference of having that statement of, I've been to PT before and it didn't work for me, versus I've been to PT and I'm walking better, or I've been to
Yeah.
PT and I'm finally feeling more energized. So I'm just very passionate about sharing these simple tips and tricks that everyone can do, because that's the difference of actually seeing this improvement.
Yeah, that's great. So anything new in PT for MS since we spoke last?
Yeah, so one thing, and I can't remember exactly when this came out. It was either right after we last talked or just before. Um, but first thing is, if you do cardio exercise before you do your functional MS specific exercises, it actually primes your brain for neuroplasticity. And
Hmm.
it's still such new research that we don't know yet how intense the cardio needs to be or how long you need to do it for. But we do know that if you do cardio first, followed by your other MS specific exercise, you are more likely to find those neural connections from your brain to the muscle, and
Hmm.
therefore get stronger and walk better. So
So
that's one
interesting.
thing.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but can you just explain, please, neuroplasticity?
Yes, neuroplasticity is the ability of your brain to create new pathways or strengthen the pathways that are already there. And what I mean by pathway is that for every movement to occur, from moving my finger to lifting my ankle to marching my leg up, for that movement to occur, there's some part in your brain that has to fire and says, Dr. Gretchen, lift your leg. And then it travels down until you
Right.
lift your leg. And so, as we all know, the issue with MS is that pathway is demyelinated.
Mhm.
And so, by practicing over and over again, there are various strategies to try to find a different pathway to get
Mhm.
from point A, being your brain, to point B, being the muscle.
Gotcha. Okay. Excellent. So I'm sorry. Thank you for that. I'm sorry that I interrupted you. You had something else new in PT, I think that you were going to say.
Yes. And neuroplasticity, though, is always worth taking a moment to talk about, because it is the reason that people with MS actually can get stronger and improve their balance, and therefore give you that hope and resiliency that you need to
Yeah.
continue. So I don't
Yeah.
mind at all. But another thing that is new is that for those that have spasticity, they are now saying that longer time periods of stretching is better. It used to be
Okay.
thought that 30 seconds is good, maybe a minute or so, and then you'd stop there. But newest research is now indicating that holding stretches for even up to 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, just this nice long stretch for
Hmm.
whichever muscles you have tightness and spasticity in, can be more helpful than just 3 times of 30 seconds.
Hmm.
So
Okay. Good to
that's
know.
what, yeah,
So
yeah.
do some cardio and stretch longer.
And yes, and they're also saying, kind of on the contrary to stretching, they're now saying that high intensity interval training, which I know this sounds crazy, but they're
It
saying high intensity interval
does.
training is is very beneficial for people with MS.
It is so counterintuitive, and I've tried it, and I will say, I hate to say this, but it did make me feel a lot better. And I hate to say it because I hate exercising, to be honest with you, and I don't like sweating. But
Yes,
but the thing I liked about it's HIIT, right? High
yes,
intensity interval. Okay. Is it was done fast. So
yes.
like I started, well, I'm sure there are different time frames and whatnot, but I was doing the 10-minute, and it kicked my ass for 10 minutes, but I kept going. 10 minutes, man, hang in there. You can do anything for 10 minutes. And I did. And, then I would feel better. And what I found was, for me, not only physically did I feel better, and I felt stronger faster than normal. I mean, it
Yeah.
didn't take as long for me to notice the differences in my body. But the clarity and the lessening of the fatigue is what I noticed. It really made such a big difference. You would think that I would continue doing that, but you're reminding me I need to get back to that.
Yes, it does seem counterintuitive for a lot of people.
Yes.
And I think it's very important to note, and this is something that I talk about in the missing link all the time, but even if you can't walk, even if you are spending your day in bed, there are still things that you can do. High intensity interval training doesn't mean that the high intensity part is going for a run or jumping
Okay.
jacks or anything like that. High intensity is anything that gets your heart rate up.
So
So
it's
for
high
some
intensity to
people,
you.
yes,
Got
absolutely.
it. It's
So for
individual.
some people, especially on a weaker day or a more fatigued day, if you hold on to 1 pound weights and you just punching them forward quickly and that gets your heart rate up, it gets my heart rate up, that
Right.
counts. That's high intensity. And then for your lower intensity, because it's interval training, just do something less intense so your heart rate comes down. So truly anyone and everyone can do high intensity interval training, even though it sounds like it's just something for people who have good
Elite
strength and good
athletes.
endurance.
Yeah.
Yes.
When I read that, and I think it was in Dave Becks field from Active MSers, I think it was first in his newsletter that I read it. And I thought, well, Dave works out all the time. Like he enjoys it, which I do not. And B, he's been doing it for a long time. I could never do this. And I don't know why one day I must have felt strong that day. And I found a HIIT training on YouTube and I tried it and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I hate to admit it, but I feel better.
And it depends on your
stick with it.
learning style too. Similar to you, I like exercise, but I like it to be short. I am not the type of person who likes to exercise for 45 minutes or an hour or anything really longer than 30 minutes. So
Oh,
even
you're making me feel
personally,
better.
the exercises that I do for myself, I stick to 30 minutes or less. So
Okay.
it depends. So in 10 minutes of high intensity, you'll feel, as you know, you'll feel that. That's enough. So if you are someone who, you should exercise, it's not your favorite, but you got to do it, high intensity is perfect. There's so many that are about 10 minutes long.
Yeah. Yes. And you can, I love that you just said though, how individual this is, because really, it changes with every day, like you said. So if you're not feeling really great, don't get down there and do those burpees, do the punches, whatever. I love that. Do you think everyone with MS should be involved in some sort of PT? And I guess to put a finer point on it, that's really exercise, right? So shouldn't we all be doing exercise? I say to myself as I'm kicking my own ass.
Yeah. And I think I view it differently. So the way that I look at it is physical therapy does include exercise, but there's a difference between MS specific physical therapy and MS specific exercises versus exercise. So in my opinion, first and foremost, yes, everyone should at least have one appointment with a physical therapist. And the reason for that is even if you're doing great, I've had clients come into the office that I used to work at and they would say, I don't know why I'm here. I don't have any problems, but my neurologist told me to come, so I came.
Right.
And if you resonate with that type of person, we just take baseline measurements. We look at your strength, we look at your range of motion, your balance, your walking, these tests, so that if down the road, at any point, 6 months, 20 years, whatever, if you feel like you might be regressing or something might be changing, now we can actually compare to numbers and measurements that you took before. So at the very least, go once for that type of appointment. And then I also have had many clients say that same thing. I don't know I'm here. I'm only here because my neurologist told me to. But I have them do the MS specific movements and they're shocked. They're like, wow, I mean, walking's not hard, but this is hard for me. Yeah. It's very much about training specific muscle groups versus just general exercise. So everyone should get at least one PT appointment to point out those things, maybe get a few exercises, and everyone should be exercising. So 2 different categories, but similar.
Yeah. That reminds me what you said about getting the baseline of the neuropsych testing. So I had a very insightful neurologist early on who suggested that to me to get a baseline. And you can't imagine at the time that that's going to, well, for me anyway, I'm such an optimist. I'm like, I don't need this. I'm going to be fine. But yeah, things have changed and it's nice to have something, I guess, quantitative to go back to and be able to look at the numbers and go, oh, shit, things have changed. I need to maybe up my game over here or work on this a little bit. So
one cool thing that I'm noticing too is that this thought this practice of being proactive, taking these
Yeah.
tests when you don't necessarily need them, it's being spread throughout so many different populations. So definitely any type of um, chronic illness type challenge. But even
Mhm.
when I played collegiate soccer back in the day, and this didn't used to happen for the first many years, but I think it was my last year, they started implementing cognitive testing during preseason in case you got a
Mhm.
concussion or in
Right.
case something happened. So again, similar concept, they
Yeah,
could
smart.
compare. So being
Mhm.
able to compare can be really helpful.
Right. Yep. So, what's the best overall exercise you would recommend to people with MS? I always think of yoga as a mainstay. Is that what's best for us?
So I approach this question more with a PT mindset.
Mhm.
So my answer is, if there is something that's challenging for you to do, and obviously this will be different for everyone, maybe it's walking, maybe it's climbing stairs, maybe it's transferring, maybe it's just getting out of bed. If
Right.
there's something that you have a goal of improving, doing that thing is the best exercise for you.
Do that.
Yep.
Got it. Mhm.
So that's my PT answer. There's tons of different types of exercise. Yoga is great because it works on strength and stability and flexibility. So that is a good option. But when it
Mhm.
comes to goals and function and being able to do
Mhm.
something better,
Good
doing
point.
that exercise is what you should do.
Yeah, I love that. The other thing I found about yoga really helpful to me too was I learned so much about relaxation and my breathing and the effect my mind could have on my muscles just because it made me more aware of them. And the first notice I had of this was when I went to a dentist appointment and I was so nervous and my shoulders were up around my ears and I was just gripping my hands together and I noticed that, and I rolled my shoulders back down and I let go of my hands and I kind of took a deep breath. And that appointment went so much better. And, now when I have spasticity or I have pain in certain areas, I literally think of that area and I envision myself, breathing into that area and stretching that area or sending a little love to that area, whatever it is. It's just made me more aware and it really does help. So I'm a big proponent for yoga, but I love what you're saying about functional exercise, meaning if you have something that you don't do as well or you'd like to do better, concentrate on that. I love that. That's going to help your life.
And mindset is, as you just mentioned, is so important for everything. If you can, whether it's deep breathing or mindfulness practices, if you can calm yourself, calm your brain, your body
Yes.
will work better. Our
Yes.
bodies want to be calm. It very often isn't, because we're always in this fight or flight mode, because that's how our
Mhm.
brains were designed to keep us alive. But if we can calm that down, even if it's using simple practices like reminding yourself that you are sheltered right now, you have warm clothes on right now, you are fed, like going back to our basic needs, calming your brain down, you'll notice your walking might be better, your thinking
Yeah,
might be more clear, your energy will
no
be a little bit
question.
better. So it's very important.
Yeah,
Yep.
and anxiety and depression are so prevalent in this community. And things like slowing down and deep breathing and being mindful can really help in those issues as well. So yay for all
Absolutely.
those things. Can you share a story or two of MSers really being helped by PT?
Yes, and I think the coolest thing about MSers being helped is that most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, especially if they don't understand what neuroplasticity is, they don't have high hopes. But when you are able to stick to it and you're doing the right exercises for your abilities and your strengths and weaknesses, you are able to see improvements. The one that is most meaningful to me is when I had a client who was, when we first started working together, we started in person and it changed to virtual. And she was using a rollator, not heavily. So it's not, she wasn't dependent on it, but she was using a walker. And throughout the time that we were working together, she was then using a cane. Pretty quickly, we were able to switch just because she wasn't dependent on the walker. I taught her some strategies to walk better. Long story short, by the end of us working together, not only was she able to walk better, she was able to walk on the beach down the
Ooh.
aisle at her daughter's wedding.
Oh,
And so for
oh,
me, I was like,
that's a
from the
great
PT
story.
standpoint, it's like your balance is better, your walking is better, and you're on uneven surfaces.
Right.
But even beyond that, like you're able to participate in life more at your
Life.
daughter's wedding,
Yes.
nonetheless.
Right.
But it was such a big, I get chills as I'm thinking of it. It was such a big
Yeah.
moment of her because she knew she was improving, but other people could see it too. And it was just such a big moment. And there's been many stories like that, but it does take that consistency and the right type of exercises. But that's always such a cool moment where not only feel better and more energized and stronger, but other people notice it too,
Yeah. Oh, I
because
love
then
that
it
story.
changes participation, confidence, all of that.
Right. I love that story. Um, so there's a ton of training to be a doctor of physical therapy. I know that. I don't know if you knew this, but um, my full-time job that I had to leave because of MS a few years ago was I did marketing for a physical therapy company. So I'm very well aware of the amount of training that goes into becoming a physical therapist and now a doctor of physical therapy, even more so. There's ongoing certification, continuing education, all that. It's just, I'm making the point that it is quite different from a physical trainer, somebody that, could help you to exercise at the gym. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, and I think you're right in that it used to be a physical therapy degree, and now it's a doctor of physical therapy degree. And I want to point out that the biggest difference there is that the doctor of physical therapy degree focuses more on research. So physical therapy used to be, these are the best exercises for you. Doctor of physical therapy is, can we prove that? Can we test this in different populations and different groups, and is it effective? And they actually started finding that things that we used to think were super effective actually aren't. Things like
Mm.
ultrasound, transcutaneous electrical stimulation, like these devices
Mm.
and modalities that used to be thought of as, oh my gosh, this is gold. Research found, not so much. Maybe if it's combined with
Wow.
X, Y, and Z. So that's the biggest
Interesting.
difference. Yep. And then once you have your doctor of physical therapy degree, once you graduate and you are let free in the world, you pretty much just have a general sense of most areas that you would need PT in an outpatient setting, in a hospital, in a nursing home. So it's really up to you to decide if you do want to specialize in anything, and if so, what.
Mhm.
And there's so many different specializations out there. There's actually one, I'm assuming most of you guys have heard of it, but there's one that's called a NCS, neurological certified specialist. And that is different from an MSCS, the multiple sclerosis certified specialist. Neuro is great. They know tons and tons and tons of information, but MS is just one of all those things. So it's not as much of a specialty. So if you do have anyone near you that is an MS certified specialist, that's even better.
That's
But
gold.
that is additional training. So that often requires observation hours, studying for a test. The MS certified specialist exam that I took was a 5-hour exam. You needed
Jeez.
observation hours before. They only offer it twice a year, so you're studying for at least 6 months before taking it. And then, as you mentioned, the continuing education, especially with MS, fortunately, things are changing all the time because there's
Yeah.
more research being done, even just
Right.
new medications. And so you do have to stay on top of your game and continue your education. And
Right.
one cool thing for me this past year was I just hit my 5-year mark of being an MS specialist. And
Congrats.
thank you. When you do that, you have to recertify. It's not reapplying, but recertify. And the only way you can do that is by showing what continuing education you've done. And they require at least 75 hours throughout the last 5 years of education, conferences, teaching others. So I was recertifying and I'm typing all the things I did, and it calculates the time for you. And when I was done, it was over 2,000 hours
Oh
that
my
I did.
gosh, Gretchen.
So
Crazy.
it's
You know what you're
definitely a
talking
passion
about.
of mine. Yes.
Yeah, I guess so. So this is a bit of an aside, but when you were talking about modalities that they've learned are maybe not all that in a bag of chips, I just wanted to ask you, for my own edification. How about dry needling?
Dry needling is actually something that's slightly newer. It wasn't necessarily done back in the day when it was mostly ultrasound and electrical stimulation. Dry needling, to my knowledge, is still found to be an effective method. And I have the mindset of if there's no negative side effects, try it and see if it
Yeah.
works. Even if it's a placebo effect, you're
Yeah.
feeling better. So that's kind of my mindset. As long as there's no negative things that'll happen. But at the
Oh,
PT clinic, go
you
ahead.
don't do, I did dry needling and I
Oh, okay.
hated every freaking second of it. It was so painful. It was like beyond labor and delivery painful for me. So, but I've also heard from other friends who have had great success with it. And they're like, well, I mean, it wasn't comfortable, but it wasn't horribly painful. So much like MS, everybody's going to react differently to everything. So don't listen to me. And who knows, maybe it was my body, maybe it was the practitioner. So I don't want to
Yep.
discourage anybody from trying it, but I did want to know if there had been any new findings so I could go, aha, I knew it. But no,
Yes.
there haven't.
And
Try
I will
it.
say they are offering courses still to this day on dry needling, which tells me it's still
Right.
advantageous to do. Otherwise, you can't find courses anymore on how to apply ultrasound or electrical stimulation. So, and also for those that don't know, dry needling is very different than acupuncture. Still needles, but dry needling, they go in, they move it around, they try to relax the muscle in different ways. So it is different.
Yes, I have PTSD just hearing you talk about it. It was so painful. Anyway, I don't mean to suggest you shouldn't try it. Try it because it could have been me, it could have been the day, it could have been the practitioner. Who knows? Try it.
Yeah.
Lots of people have had good success with it. But okay, let's get to the good stuff. Your MSing Link program. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so it's so funny because the MSing Link started when I was actually at my last job, and I had one of the highest no-show and cancellation rates out of all of the PTs at our clinic.
No.
And it was specifically like 98% of the time, the people that were canceling and no-showing were my clients with MS. And I tried to explain to my boss, I was like, but these are valid reasons. They're not safe coming out in the rain or in the snow, or they have a fatigue day. And so I thought to myself, and I actually said to him, I was like, can we do telehealth PT, or can I call them? Is there something that I can do to come to them? Long story short, insurance doesn't cover it. No, got the hammer on that one. So I finally decided, after a few years of thinking about this, I was like, I'm just going to do it myself. I don't need a boss. I'm just going to do it myself. I'm the one who knows this stuff. And so I created this online program called the MSing Link, initially thinking, well, this would be great for my clients. Like if they can't come to me, they can stay in their own home and do these exercises, watch the guest speakers, all of that. And then as soon as I launched it, I had people from Arizona and California, like all these other states. And now we're in like 8 or 9 different countries. So it's my way of being able to help those with MS with MS specific exercises and symptom management strategies. I like to think that it's truly like seeing me in an office and picking my brain, like getting all of my knowledge, but you have it in your own living room. And then over the years, we've also added guest speakers because I like to bring in experts in other areas. I think I would consider myself an expert of MS exercise and physical therapy, but not nutrition, not like all these other important areas. So we have guest speakers, we have MSing Link yoga now, symptom management, accountability. So it's been fun.
So great. And it's been so fun to watch you bloom with this thing. I remember an evening texting back and forth with you about your logo. And we were talking about, fonts and graphics and all that kind of thing. So it's just been so fun to watch you grow this program and help more and more people. And it's all online. So has the telehealth thing worked itself out? I mean, does insurance cover any of this now? I would hope, that COVID has helped nudge things in the right direction.
Yes, and it absolutely has. COVID is why most insurance companies, not all, that's why most insurance companies are actually covering telehealth physical therapy right now. Before COVID, it was almost non-existent.
Right.
But so so I started offering telehealth PT back last April, I think I began, or May. But I will say, if you are someone who's interested in telehealth physical therapy, call your insurance company. It's constantly changing. They kept changing the dates of when it would be covered. Some people still have to pay their copay. Other people, it's free. You don't have to pay your
Yeah.
copays, deductibles, or anything like that. And it also depends on who the PT is. So call your insurance company and make sure that it is currently active for you and your plan and your state. But you will definitely have better luck during these times than even
Right.
a year and a half ago. Yeah.
Right. So can you I know you listed a few things that are available on the MSing link, but what's sort of walk me through. I'm somebody new and I come to the MSing link, and how do I sign up? What am I going to find there, and how do I get involved?
So the first step would be to sign up. So right now there's a monthly, semi-annual, or annual plan. So you can choose whatever fits you best. And the next thing is my favorite part. It's a getting started call with me. And so I get to meet every member and I'm able to share my screen with them. It's kind of like this video that we're doing now. I share my screen and I say, okay, this is what you need to do to get started. Here's where you can find the exercise programs that tell you which exercises to do each day. And if you have this type of challenge, go here. We have a whole section on activity specific exercises. So things like stair climbing, getting into the car, getting in and out of bed, getting up and down from the ground. So more activity based things. So I listen to their goals. I'm able to help guide them towards which program might be best for them, which exercises might be best for them. And then we have an accountability group that I make sure everyone's added into, because I go live in there once a week. We have, this sounds kind of silly, but it works for me. We have an accountability prize each month. So every Friday, I'll make a post that says, comment below with what exercises you did this week. And some people will take a picture of their program and send it in. Others just type what they did. But whatever you type, it's an entry. And at the end of the month, I choose a winner and you get a call with me to review your questions. So I love how interactive it is.
Yeah, that's
I definitely
great.
feel like I'm able to be part of the journey versus just, here's this program, do it on your own type of thing.
Right. And so this is basically a subscription, but there's existing video, but also interaction with you and accountability groupings and that sort of thing. I love it. I love it. I really love that. This is an aside, but I just thought of this. You mentioned that you have guest speakers on there, and I would like to, and I'll send you this information after we're done with this interview, but I would like to offer up a guest speaker to you, which is my writing partner for our ebook, Bowel and Bladder Issues in Multiple Sclerosis by Two Pea Brains with Potty Mouths Talking Shit About MS, because she is a pelvic floor dysfunction specialist, PT. And so she has, because of me, she has really kind of delved into the whole MS side of things. And she does a lot of guest speaking and whatnot, and obviously writing. So, and what I'm finding too is that so many people have this issue with bowel and bladder issues in MS. And unfortunately, like, doctors aren't even asking them about it, and people are maybe embarrassed to talk about it. And there's things that they can be doing themselves from home. Even she talks about nutrition, she talks about medication, she talks about the actual physical therapy and exercises to do. So I just think that's such an underserved, area in MS. So I'm going to send you her information because I think she'd be great.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. So all of this is online. It sounds so great. And you don't have to go out of your own home and you don't have to expose yourself to COVID or anything else. That is wonderful. So where do people find your program?
So my website is MSinglink.com. So it's spelled MSing link.com. So that's where all of my information is. You'll be able to find the MSing link there. I also have a couple of one-off programs like the Total Core program to strengthen your core and a few things like that. But if you go to that website, you'll be able to find all of that information.
Excellent. How about social media?
Social media, I have a Facebook, and my name is Dr. Gretchen-MS Specialist, because there's another Dr. Gretchen out there. And then I have Instagram, which is Dr.Gretchen, and I actually have YouTube as well, which is Dr. Gretchen Hawley.
Perfect. And I know I see a lot of videos coming out of you. You're a prolific content creator. Thank you for all that. Okay, so you may remember that we here in the FUMS Nation speak to the stupid diseases it deserves, and we tell it FUMS every day. Would you please lead us in our salute to MS with middle fingers extended? Of course, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
FUMS.
Yay! I love it. Thank you. That was a strong one. Dr. Gretchen, thanks so much for being here with us today. Really appreciate it. And thank you so much for what you do for our community every day. We really, we are so benefited by you caring for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.